What up, guys? Today we have a Bob question, and if you guys are new around here, that means that the person wants to be anonymous because it's a bit of a sensitive topic, right? The guy's coach died. So this guy said that he's been training with this coach for a number of years, and he's been learning a lot from him. And he said this coach is one of those old school Brazilian black belts who, he's an OG, he's been training for 30 years. He was hard-nosed, he pushed you, but at the same time, he created this really amazing family feeling atmosphere. It's been amazing for him. It's made such a big impact on his life. And he said that recently when his coach died, he said, man, it's really messed me up. It's messed up the whole gym. He says that when he goes to the gym, it's very somber and there's just such a really down atmosphere right now, and that it deflates him. He doesn't even really want to go to the gym, but at the same time, he's very motivated to train and sort of represent this person's dream of spreading jiu-jitsu and kind of honor him through his training. And so he's in this weird mixed up place of being really motivated, but at the same time, really depressed. So he sends me the message and he just asks, have you ever experienced something similar in BJJ or otherwise? What advice do you have about someone grieving? And should I train through the emotion or should I work through what's going on and then come back to the gym? He then apologizes for his thoughts being all rambling all over the place. So Bob, thank you for the question, bro. And obviously don't feel sorry for the rambly thoughts. You're going through it right now. So in your message, I'm going to, first off, let me go back a little bit. I'm a bearded asshole on the internet, so I'm not qualified for anything, but I'm going to share this from the standpoint of, like, I've talked to my students about this kind of stuff before, and, hopefully this is useful to you in some way, because we're all going through this at some point, right? So the grieving process, right? Because your big thing is hung up on the grieving process. Your message was much longer. I cut much of it out, right? To me, it seems like you're kind of resisting the grieving process, right? You feel like you're trying to honor your coach through your training, but that the grieving process is getting in the way, right? The thing that I would sort of get you to think about, and this helped me out big time, was rethinking the reason why the grieving process happens, right? Think about this. There are people dying around you all the time. Death is not a bad thing. It's unpleasant to us. We don't like it, right? When certain people die. Sometimes we like it when people die, depending if they're a bad person or whatever. But for the most part, death is not a bad or a good thing. It's just happening. It's happening all the time. And you don't care about most people that die, do you? You don't know them, you don't care. But when there's these select people, these people that left an impact on you, you care about those. With your coach, right? Whatever void you feel right now because they're gone is just a direct relation to how much they impacted you. And when I thought about it, this is years ago, that kind of changed the way that I felt about death. Now, again, I'm not jumping for joy when one of my friends or family members kicks the bucket, but when I feel that sadness in me, I'm happy it was there. With my mother, that was a rough one for me. When I thought about it, I was like, a lot of people, like my business partner, he does not have a good relationship with his mother. I'm so friggin' lucky that I had that with my mother. My grandfather, he was like a father to me. Many people don't have those male role models in their life like I was lucky enough to have. Like you had a coach. Many people, if their coach kicked the bucket, they wouldn't even care that much. They'd be like, yeah, whatever. I didn't see him anyway. He never helped me out. But your coach left a big enough impact on you that you cared enough, that you're hurting enough, that you're grieving enough, that you felt like you needed to send a message into a guy on the internet for advice, right? That's a big deal. That's not a bad thing. And grieving someone is honoring them. So yes, you will honor him later on as you start to shake up out of this funk. But right now, you are grieving and you're honoring him with the emotions you feel, the tears you feel, or the tears that you have. I mean, all of us, I think at the end of the day, we all want to have a person that cares about us when we go, right? Maybe it's just me, but I think most of us, that matters to us. When we kick the bucket, we would like to know that we left an impact positively on the people around us, our communities, our families, our friendships, things like that. So look at the grieving process maybe in that way, in that perspective. That helped me out. It's not a bad thing. And let it happen. Grieve as much as you need to. Because if you start trying to resist it, this is what I found, it keeps spilling out, right? It's like a cup. And if we don't just let the damn thing empty out, right? Let the tears flow, let the emotions happen, just let them go. What ends up happening is it's like, what is it Jung quote? What you resist persists. It's like we keep dipping it out and we don't control it, right? It's like having a cup and we're just dipping it out every now and then. If we could just let that damn thing dump out, we can be done with it in a faster, I don't want to say faster, but a more useful, it'll be a little bit quicker because you're not it's not coming out at weird places. I remember with my mother, I learned this, right? I just had to let it out because I was trying to hold it together, and then randomly something would happen, and I would start getting start crying and stuff like that. Just let it out. Be done with it. Let the grieving process happen. Let it flow, and it's not a bad thing. Again, you're honoring your coach through that way, right? Now, the other thing that I would share, and this was very useful to me, is coming up with some sort of ritual or some sort of tribute to that person. So you can remember them for who they were with you and how they impacted you, right? Because obviously you said that your coach got sick and kind of had this process of going downhill. We don't want to remember that person. I mean, you can remember him, yes, but again, there was another person before that who wasn't sick, who impacted you, who was strong and inspired you. We want to remember that person. For me, with my mother, she loved the beach. She loved water. And I've talked about this before on the channel. So me and my two sisters, we each have a small urn with her ashes in them, and I take the ashes. And whenever I travel to a new beach or a place with water, I take the ashes with her. Because in my mind, when I was a kid, I was a young man with a single mother, I wanted to take care of her. I wanted to do things with her as she got older that maybe she couldn't do when she was young because she was taking care of the kids. And one of those things was to take her to beaches and places with water where she wanted to go. Well, I never got that chance. So this is my way of sort of doing that now. I take the ashes, I rub them in my hands, I dip them into the water, and I sort of just remember her for who she was, for the person that left an imprint on me. With my grandfather in my office at home, I have his drill instructor hat, some of his medals around from the Army, and I've got some pictures and stuff like that, just to remember him for who he was and what he did for me, right? Again, you can do whatever you want to with it, but I would say come up with some sort of tribute or some sort of ritual for your coach. Maybe you and your buddies could have a special, rolling day on your coach's birthday or whatever, right? Like say, we're going to remember our coach and we're going to have a special day where we all come together, we roll, we have like a little potluck dinner at the gym, and we share stories about the coach and all the crazy stuff that he did, because if he was a hard-nosed OG Brazilian cat, I'm sure he's got some crazy stories, and remember him for those. Or maybe you can get a patch for him to remember him, or whatever it is. Do something to honor him and keep his name going for your own sake, but also, too, to remember those good memories. Because, again, a lot of times we can go to the feeling of all the negative stuff associated with death, but we can also remember, man, that guy was so cool, and how lucky was I to have a relationship with this guy, that sort of thing. So those are just my perspectives on it, right? Change the way that you're thinking about the grieving process. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing because of what that person did for you. And maybe create a ritual with your training partners to honor him and, honor that somber feeling that's in the gym, but then use it to maybe make a beautiful sort of celebration for who he was, or some sort of beautiful ritual for celebrating him for years to come. So just an idea to chew on, brother, and good luck, Bob.